What the fuck is going on, ladies and gentlemen? We're back for another motherfucking podcast. I know, two in a row. Two in a fucking row. How crazy. Nah, but I really like doing these things, and I feel like they're never long enough. I think I'm gonna challenge myself this one to see how long we fucking keep going. So I have little dingers in my head like, oh, how long have we been going? Because I usually know when we hit our mark. But this time, we ain't doing all that. We just gonna see how far we can go. There's been this idea I've been piecing together over the past few days of our brains. Like, people always look at our brains as computers, right? And we always liken our brains to computers. And I've been thinking about that a lot lately because, like I said yesterday, when it comes to processing our computer, our brain computer is probably the slowest computer on planet Earth, right? And so, if you extend that out further, and I was talking to Chance about this today, um, what do our phones connect to? They connect to satellites. We can't see the satellites. We don't fucking think about them most of the time. And the satellites are just doing their thing. The only time we get pissed off when the satellite doesn't work, you know what I'm saying? When we don't have service or when the phone's going slow, when the cell towers aren't working right. That's when we start to think about the satellites. So if you liken that to our brain, then we've got a computer, and in my opinion, I've said this before, I look at it like um, a TV or a computer in the real sense, our electronic technological computer. If you break it, it's not turning off. So it's a receiver for the internet or for power or whatever the fuck turns to I don't know how a computer works. Do I look like a fucking computer scientist? No, but I know all these components, the motherboard is a bunch of fucking circuits and all this bullshit comes together. It's basically what our brain is, right? And then you accentuate that into a satellite. Satellites are in space, right? But where would be a consciousness satellite? Where would a biological satellite be? Okay, we don't fucking know that, and I don't think we'll ever know that. Maybe we will with more technology and more education on what the fuck makes us and what makes us tick. But until then, we have no fucking idea. And so if you look at our brains like that as a computer, it's like the a million, 2 million year old computer, all right? It is the most ancient computer on this fucking planet. It's connecting to a satellite. We don't know what the satellite is or where it's at, how we receive this telecommunication, if you will, but we are connected to some kind of satellite, and that explains like dream states and uh, when like connections beyond the physical. You know what I'm saying? When you're thinking of somebody and they call you type of shit, or when you and another person have the same idea, or where the fuck do ideas come from anyway? We don't know. And I think that that's what a satellite is, a brain satellite, if you will, or a human satellite, if you will, that we're connected to this thing that we don't think about and we don't quite know about. We feel it, the phone feels it, but we don't know exactly what the hell we're connected to. And I think we're all connected to the same satellite. We're all running off this satellite, if you will. Um, and it made me start to think about a conversation me and Chance had last night, actually, because for the longest time I've been trying to understand how he had felt when he had lost. I shouldn't do it in air quotes because he really did. He lost connection to his body at one point. He had done. We talked about this way back on like the first podcast with Chance. Actually, it's kind of crazy, but since then I've been trying to understand what kind of state of mind that is because I have this intense fear, and that's why I get super scared when I'm on psychedelics or when I'm smoking because I get really terrified to lose my mind. And I've always had that fear because I don't want to lose my mind. I don't think anybody does. And that's why most people don't experiment. But I don't have that part where you don't experiment. I'm my own walking experiment, dude. I'm experimenting with my biology, my brain, my body, everything all the fucking time. My thoughts. I'm always trying to experiment to see what the best way possible to do things are, right? So I've been trying to understand how Chance's mindset works in the way it did in that state. And he's likened it to like a plug unplugging or like um you can see yourself visibly falling back into your head and you're trying to like get back into the pilot seat and you can't get back into the pilot seat. And he had helped me to understand yesterday what that truly meant because we started to have a conversation about this stuff and really go into depth on it. And it made me realize that what he had experienced was a loss of the navigator or loss of a pilot, if you will. Because if you look at us as like a soul, okay? That's how I look at us. We're a soul piloting a human body, okay? And you can feel that on certain substances and certain mental states that you can get into, whether it be through breathing or meditation or yoga, or wherever it may be, that you can feel it's not a complete disconnection, but you feel the pilot and you feel what is Cody Kiss, if you will, if we're looking at myself. You can feel the pilot, what's underneath all of that bullshit, and then you feel Cody Kiss itself, okay? And what Chance had explained to me is that he lost his navigator, his ego, essentially. He was in this primal state that he didn't recognize anything really. Like his friend had put him in a choke or a headlock to calm him down and hold him in place, and he thought it was just another man trying to kill him, is what he had said to me. And to me, that's like, it all made sense to me hearing this, and it may not make sense to other people, but you lose your navigator because the navigator is what gives us the ability to function in this physical realm. Cody Kiss is what allows me to go into society and operate on this physical plane as if I'm not a soul operating a human's body, okay? Because if we didn't have an ego and a navigator in the brain that we do, we wouldn't perceive the world or reality as we do. Reality, I don't know what that is, to be honest. Nobody does, because everybody's reality and perception is different. But a loss of that, and psychedelics can give it to you temporarily. Alcohol probably can as well. Well, maybe for certain people. That's how I've always felt doing certain substances. Like when I was doing Xanax and ecstasy and drinking all the time, I felt the navigator sitting back, or my soul, I should say. I felt my soul sitting back watching me do stupid ass shit, if that makes sense. Like my navigator shut off. It's almost as if we have two people within us. Obviously, it's one thing, but two people within us where you have the navigator of the ego, Cody Kiss, essentially, and then you have the soul, which is everything and anything. It's all. It's part of it, all of it. You know what I'm saying? And so the loss of the navigator, the ego, results in you just being everything, which is not good if you're trying to operate on a human level, right? And I had felt that before in my past. I felt every time I get super drunk, I feel like I'm watching myself. My body gets inebriated, obviously, and my mind's inebriated, but I feel myself back there. That's what changed with psychedelics and weed, and why I hold them in such high regard is because when I was doing Xanax and all that other shit, it was like I was locking myself back here. Myself. Here, see? My, and then the self that I'm locking, right? Cody Kiss, if you will, was locking the self back here because I couldn't handle my soul. I couldn't be in myself, right? Or in myself at that moment. So I would lock it away, even though it's not locking it away completely. But from what Chance explained to me, losing your mind is a completely different feeling to where that navigator is just gone. You're not talking to anybody anymore. It's just everything. And it made me realize like schizophrenic people and like um, mental disorders, I should say, on a different level. Because if you watch like somebody who's crazy, we deem them as crazy in society. They're not operating well. Like they're flailing around. Like I always liken to like a meth head, but I obviously they're not. They haven't lost their mind. They're just on meth. But if you watch a meth head, they're flailing around. They're fucking talking to themselves. They're doing all kinds of crazy ass shit, right? And they have lost their navigator. That's essentially what I'm saying, and that's what Chance had felt, except on a completely different level, where he wasn't sober, I guess, but the substances he was taking were not supposed to do this and this effect, if that makes sense. And then you take it a step further and you start thinking about maybe we just created external versions of our brain. Because the only thing that separates our brain from this phone, essentially, and any other computer, is that we've built this ourselves, obviously, but also that they're much faster and they're external. They're outside of us. But with Neuralink, we're about to put this thing into us. So maybe it's not the fact that we're separating ourselves by using technology and we're getting rid of what it means to be human. Maybe we're advancing ourselves and we're putting ourselves into the higher position that we are supposed to be into. Because if we get the internet and whatever's on this device onto our into our heads directly, then it cuts out all the bullshit, cuts out the processing power of our monkey brains. It cuts out a lot of things that our emotions, our our downfalls like jealousy and envy and greed, all these things that make us disgusting as beings would be almost eradicated, would they not? Not only to not Jesus, not only to mention that, but we also would be able to communicate telepathically. And so we would be able to see another person's thoughts as they think them, which may be scary to some people. It's not that scary to me. You want to get into my head? Go ahead. There's a lot of fucked up shit in here, but I'm sure there's a lot of fucked up shit in a lot of people's heads. It's probably everybody's heads. We're fucking animals, all right? We try to separate ourselves and look at ourselves as if we're not animals, but we're fucking animals, all right? And that ability would allow for the best communication possible between humans because words are just stepping stones to ideas. All these things coming out of my mouth are ideas I'm trying to put into these words, and then somebody else, whoever listens to it or whoever I'm talking to, has to pick these words up, run it through their processor, figure out what the fuck it all means. And we all do this pretty quickly now if you know how to use your brain. But then you have to spit something back out into words that the other person understands. It's very hard to communicate efficiently and effectively with another human being through this way. It's got us to this point and it's helped us along the way because we can pass down thoughts and ideas and knowledge using words, and it'll give us ideas and illuminate things that we might have not known before. But I don't think that's the best way to communicate because if you watch animals like cows and pigs and all these other things, they're communicating in some other way that we do not completely understand. Deer and maybe herd animals are the best example of this. Elephants, maybe, they're not actively talking to each other. They have noises. I'm pretty sure it's proved that they have noises and they have certain things that they like, certain noises that mean certain things to them, but we don't know what it means, obviously. Same with orcas and dolphins and other intelligent creatures like that, octopus. They don't communicate with words like we do, yet they understand each other and they understand their environment and they understand a lot more than we think that they do. and we don't understand some things that they understand. So it's not the best way to communicate. Um, Maybe not necessarily with just other human beings, but with all species. If we want to be able to get rid of a language barrier, because we're learning that plants and fungi and the animals I just mentioned are intelligent. Dogs have the intelligence of 2 year olds. Cats have the intelligence of 2 year olds. But the thing is, when we label them with the intelligence of toddlers, if you will, like we do dogs and cats, it's not necessarily that they have the intelligence of a 2 year old. Or a crow, for example, people say that they have the intelligence of a 7 year old. It's not necessarily that they have that kind of intelligence, it's what they show to us. We don't see inside their brains and what kind of intelligence is really going on in there, if that makes sense. And so if we can put a Neuralink in our head and maybe put it in a dog or put it in a cat and translate their brain patterns to us directly, we would definitely understand all these things on a different level. And I don't know how we do that with certain things like fungus and plants. Maybe we well, hmm, that's interesting because it's been proven now that plants communicate through the mycorrhizal network, meaning that they communicate through the mycelium. I've said this before, but I'm going to say it again because I love mushrooms. But fungus are not what grow out of the ground, they're what's under the ground. It's kind of like us. If you look up the mycorrhizal network or the mycelial network on Google, it's a pretty fascinating thing that there's a neural network essentially. Like our brain's a neural network. There's a neural network underneath the ground in which plants and fungus use to communicate with each other. And maybe we'd have to tap the Neuralink into that. And then we'd just understand plants and fungi. And then animals, we'd put one into maybe, say, a dog or a cat. And maybe they could be able to communicate with other animals and with other beings. That book I was writing, actually, that's essentially what I was writing down in there. That we've cracked the language barrier amongst, and I gave up on that book. I haven't given up on it, I shouldn't say, but it's on the shelf, dude. I haven't fucked with it in a long time. But that's essentially what I was writing into there was that there's super intelligent animals and fungus and plants that we can communicate via Neuralink or other electronic devices that we implant into ourselves. And I think that would be super beneficial for the entire planet. I feel like if we can get rid of what it means to be a primal ape like we are, a human being, because we're not that far separated from monkeys, dude. Hey Siri. Hey Siri. Bitch. Hey Siri. What is the closest living relatives between chimps and humans? Hey Siri. What was the closest relative before humans and chimps branched off? I didn't know I could fucking Google shit on my phone. Maybe. God damn, I hate Siri. She's a piece of shit. Hey Siri. How long ago was the most common ancestor between chimps and a human? Between 13 to 5 million years ago. That's not that long. That's not that long at all. Because the planet itself is 4 billion years ago. 4 billion years old. 4.6 or some shit like that. 14 something. 14.5. Or not 14, 4.5 billion. And then the universe itself is 13 point something billion. So that's insane that we are that closely related to chimps still. We think we're so different. We think we're so much higher than these other animals. We're no better than these other animals, man. In fact, we may now in society we may be worse because we like to think that we're better than these things, and we like to think that we're the hot shit of the planet. We think that we're the most intelligent being on this planet, but I don't think that's true. And I don't think that's ever been true. Our egos have separated us to such a point where we think that we are. And it reminds me of this podcast I was listening to today, actually, that they were talking about how the universe, when it was cooling, because if you look at the Big Bang and you look into all this science, the universe was super hot and then it cooled down. And that's why it's so cold now, is because it cooled down to this point. But at one point, it was room temperature, was what the guy was pointing to. So the temperature that we exist in now, the entire universe was in that temperature at one point. And so speculating and using that would mean that life could exist anywhere at that point, without stars, without anything. And so if you look at things like mushrooms, for example, mushroom spores can survive extreme cold, extreme heat, and the vacuum of space, okay? So if the temperature of the entire universe was at room temperature at one point, who's to say that things didn't survive on asteroids like microorganisms and fungi and things that might not necessarily have been on this planet? Then collisions happen all the time. Asteroids hit the planet. That's where our water came from. A bunch of comets had hit the planet, and that ice melted, and that's where water came from. And so that could be where fungi and octopus maybe also came from. Because if you look at the evolutionary tree, octopus and fungus split off on their completely separate evolutionary paths than everything else on this planet. They're not mammals. They're cephalopods. And I don't know what the fuck that means, to be honest, now that I'm saying it. Because that would mean that they're not mammals. They're not reptiles. They're not. Huh. Hey Siri. Hey Siri. I hate this thing. I hate Apple. I won't lie. Hey Siri. Are cephalopods a completely separate animal? This thing's useless, dude. Hold up. I got a better idea. Maybe. We'll see if this thing has charge. So this was my idea at work, and my ass didn't do it. But I have this shitty laptop over here. And see if it has charge on it. And then I'm gonna start Googling shit. It's dead as hell. I'm gonna plug it in. We're gonna start Googling shit on this fucking shitty ass laptop. That's what we're gonna do. Because I like to Google things. I like to be able to research things as I'm talking about them. With recording with the phone, I can't exactly do that anymore. Hopefully, Chance gets this other computer set up. I'm not really pressuring him to do so. I don't really give a fuck. And I don't want to tell anybody else what to do. That's not my line in, dude. I don't like being told what to do. I won't lie. I'll listen and I'll do what other people say or tell me to do if it's valid. But I don't like being told what to do or directed in my own way. I look at myself as my own leader, and I don't like to be led by other people, if that makes sense. And what was I talking about? Okay, so the idea of panspermia is exactly that organisms from other asteroids or other places came here, crashed into Earth, and essentially that's Jesus, this thing's dusty as hell. That's where a lot of things came from. Microorganisms and uh, maybe even cephalopods, because it, if I don't know, man. It makes sense to me. I don't know if that makes sense to anybody else. But the fact that the universe itself could have been room temperature, the whole thing, that would mean that things could have evolved and survived way before Earth was ever even created. And this thing that's going on this planet could have happened everywhere else or anywhere else. Who the fuck knows where it could have happened? There's so many galaxies, there's so many planets that look like our own. And even if they don't look like our own, there's microorganisms and fungus and all kinds of things that can survive in, like I just said, the extreme heat, extreme cold, and the vacuum of space. So who the fuck's to say that we're the only ones here? And the podcast I was listening to also had the idea that um I don't remember, dude. I'm trying to look up if cephalopods are separate. Are cephalopods a completely separate are completely separate? Hold up. Separate. Why is it not doing that? I'm about to lose my goddamn mind. No, I don't know how to work this thing. There. Nope, not there. How do I turn that off? F1? Fuck no. Just give me a second, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know how to work this fucking computer. Uh, um, how do I turn that off? There's a lock on here, and I have no idea how to turn that fucker off. None? Okay. Oh, I figured it out. Look at me go. Separate from plants and animals. Are cephalopods completely separated from plants and animals? Let's see what the fuck comes up. Just give it a second. We gotta be patient. Based on provided search results, cephalopods are animals, specifically a class of marine animals within the phylum Mollusca. They're not plants. Ah, cephalopods share a common ancestor with other mollusks such as gastropods, snails and slugs, and bivalves, clams and mussels, but have undergone significant evolutionary changes resulting in distinct characteristics in body plans. They are bilaterally symmetrical, have a soft, unsegmented body, and possess a range of unique features, including a large brain, complex eyes, and unique respiratory systems. In contrast to plants, heterotrophic cephalopods are heterotrophic, meaning they obtain energy by consuming other organisms or organic matter, rather than producing their own food through photosynthesis. That makes sense. Therefore, cephalopods are completely separate from plants and are classified as animals. So I didn't know that they shared common ancestors on the planet, so that means they had to have evolved here. They just evolved separately. Let's see. What differences do octopus have from? You should search cephalopods because cephalo. How do you spell that? Cephalopods. Cephalopods. What differences do cephalopods have evolutionarily from other animals? I'm no young Jamie, so I'm sorry. You don't know who young Jamie is? Figure it out. Let's look this up. Brain structure and complexity. Cephalopods have the most complex brain of any invertebrate, rivaling that of vertebrates. Their large distributed brain and advanced neural processing capabilities enable advanced behaviors such as problem solving, learning, and memory. Cephalopods are thought to have evolved from a group of gastropod mollusks, but their ancestors diverged from the gastropod lineage around 500 to 600 million years ago. This early divergence led to distinct morphological and physiological characteristics. Cephalopods have a unique dorso-ventrally elongated body plan with a merged head and foot and a ring of arms and/or tentacles surrounding the head. This plan is distinct from other mollusks such as gastropods and bivalves. That's the next thing we're searching because I don't know. Oh yeah, it already said what that was. Cephalopods use jet propulsion, a unique mechanism that involves expelling water from their mantle cavity to generate thrust. This differs from the gait-based locomotion of vertebrates and the crawling gastropods. That's interesting. I didn't know that. They essentially have their own jet propulsion, or they do. That's interesting as fuck. Cephalopods have a highly efficient closed-circuit respiratory system, which allows them to conserve oxygen and thrive in low-oxygen environments. This is distinct from the open-circuit respiratory systems of vertebrates and some invertebrates. So I think that what that means is that like a what's it called? A closed-circuit respiratory system. I think we have an open. Let's sub Google here. Do humans have an open circuit respiratory system? I'm pretty sure we do, meaning we have to breathe in and out all the time. Human respiratory system is a complex system that brings oxygen. An open circuit system is one where the input and output are not connected, and the system exchanges materials with the outside environment. The human respiratory system has characteristics of an open circuit system as it inhales oxygen from the air and exhales carbon dioxide back into the air. This exchange of gases with the outside environment is a key feature of an open circuit system. So the answer is yes. I also didn't know that was a thing. Sensory organs. Cephalopods have highly developed sense organs, including large eyes with a reflective layer, tapetum lucidum, statocysts for balance, and a highly sensitive lateral line system for detecting vibrations. These sensory organs are more advanced than those found in other mollusks. Cephalopods use a copper-based hemocyanin system to transport oxygen, which is distinct from the iron-based hemoglobin system found in vertebrates and some invertebrates. Ah, that's interesting. Cephalopods have evolved a range of specialized adaptations such as camouflage, mimicry, bioluminescence to thrive in their marine environments. These adaptations are unique to cephalopods and reflect their evolutionary history. Genomic differences. Cephalopod genomes exhibit distinct characteristics including a high proportion of repetitive DNA, a large number of gene duplicates, and a unique pattern of gene expression. These genomic features reflect their evolutionary history and are distinct from those of other animals. Interesting. Ask a follow-up question. Nice. Did octoceph how do you spell that? Cephalopods eyes evolve separate from humans? I'm pretty sure they did. Oh shit. Cephalopods such as squid and octopuses and humans have evolved distinct eye structures despite both being capable of forming images. The cephalopod eye is often compared to the human eye due to their similar camera type structure, but they have distinct differences in their development, anatomy, and function. Evolutionary history. The last common ancestors of cephalopods and humans lived over 500 million years ago. Since then, both lineages have developed complex eye structures independently, a phenomenon known as convergent evolution. This means that similar environmental pressures have led to similar solutions in terms of eye structure, despite the fact that the underlying genetic and developmental mechanisms may differ. This actually reminds me of a video I watched the other day. I'm a fucking evolution nerd, so especially human evolution. And it's a fascinating idea that I'd never considered that our ancestors between chimps and humans actually walked upright already. Because if you look at their bones, I don't know how to explain it in an efficient way that like the video did, but certain key characteristics like their bones and their feet, the way their feet looked and their back, it was almost as if they were walking upright already. And so what that video had proposed, and it could be false, that the way chimps and bonobos and other monkeys walk on their hind legs could have been at their own adaptation, and it would have helped them in the forest and swing from trees and shit like that, because they're different from us. And this idea would propose looking um, at our evolution different, because we wouldn't have to figure out how we went from upright or from bipedal, or no, from quadpedal. Is that a word? Quadruped? Quadruped? Question mark? Quadruped? Yeah, quadruped. So we went from quadrupedal to bipedal. That's what we think now. And from this video, from my understanding, we would have gone from bipedal to quadrupedal in the sense of apes and other animals and chimps like that, gorillas, because they needed it. And I'm gonna look that up after this actually. We need to keep reading this. Anatomical differences. One of the main differences between cephalopod and human eyes is the way they focus light. Human eyes change the shape of the lens to focus on objects at different distances, a process known as accommodation. In contrast, cephalopods move the lens back and forth to achieve focus, similar to how a camera works. That's interesting. This difference is focusing mechanism is due to the distinct embryonic development pathways of the two groups. So instead of focusing like our eyes do, their eyes focus like camera lenses. That's kind of interesting. The retina is the light sensitive tissue at the back of the eye. In humans, the retina is inverted, meaning that the photoreceptors, rods, and cones are buried beneath a layer of neurons and blood vessels. In cephalopods, the retina is everted, with the photoreceptors facing outward. This difference affects the way light is detected and processed. Cephalopods also lack a blind spot, as their optic nerve connects to the retina from the outside, whereas in humans, the optic nerve passes through the retina, creating a blind spot. That's interesting. That's very interesting. So they don't have blind spots like we do. Maybe in the future, when we get bionic eyes, we will fucking copy the cephalopods, because they seem to have better eyes than we do. The eyes of cephalopods and humans are adapted to their respective environments. Cephalopod eyes are well suited for the underwater environment where light is scattered and polarized. Human eyes are adapted for vision in air, with a wider range of color vision and the ability to focus on objects at varying distances in a terrestrial environment. Despite these differences, the similarity in overall structure between cephalopod and human eyes is a testament to convergent evolution. Both have lens, retina, and optic nerve, indicating that these components are essential for image forming vision. Indicating that these components are essential for image forming vision. The fact that similar eye structures have evolved independently in different lineages highlights the importance of vision in the survival and success of animals in various environments. In summary, while cephalopods and human eyes share some similarities due to convergent evolution, they also exhibit significant differences in their development, anatomy, and function, reflecting their adaptation to different environments and evolutionary histories. AI is fucking awesome, dude. The fact that we could just look this up and it pop up like this now. School's done. The way we look at school now, it's done. But what evidence is there for humans remaining bipedal and chimp other primates such as chimps or bonobos developing quadpedalism? I don't know if that's the word. Quadpedalism. Evolution. Evolution. Hopefully AI can make sense of that because I don't know what the fuck. The evolution of human bipedalism is a complex and still debated topic among scientists. Bipedalism, or the ability to walk on two legs, is a unique characteristic of the human species and contrasts chimpanzees and bonobos, our closest living relatives, are primarily quadrupedal, meaning they walk on all fours. Evidence of human bipedalism. Studies have shown that early human ancestors such as Ardipithecus and Australopithecus exhibited a mix of bipedal and quadrupedal traits. For example, Ardipithecus ramidus, which lived around 4.4 million years ago, had a brain similar in size to that of modern chimpanzees, but it was capable of bipedalism. The Laodali footprint trail, which dates back to around 3.7 million years ago, provides further evidence of early human bipedalism. Chimpanzees and bonobos are primarily quadrupedal, using their knuckles to support their body weight when walking on all fours. However, they are also capable of bipedalism, particularly when carrying food or moving through shallow water. Injured chimpanzees and bonobos have been used or observed to use bipedalism as a means of locomotion, suggesting that this ability is latent in these species. I actually saw a video of a chimp, not a chimp, it was a monkey. I forget what kind of monkey it was, but it had lost its arms and it was walking around like a human because it didn't have the arms to walk on. That's what I was thinking while I was reading that, which is fascinating. Research has shown that the energy costs of bipedal and quadrupedal locomotion are similar in chimpanzees, suggesting that the transition from quadrupedalism to bipedalism in early human ancestors may not have been energetically costly. However, human bipedalism is characterized by a unique set of anatomical and biomechanical features, including an upright posture, a curved spine, and shorter arms relative to the legs. Theory of bipedalism evolution. Several theories have been proposed to explain the evolution of human bipedalism, including the postural feeding hypothesis, which suggests that bipedalism evolved as a means of reaching food sources. But I want to know, what is the theory that early primates were already bipedal and had and certain primates wait. Some scientists propose that early bipedal hominins were already well prepared for terrestrial bipedality, having adaptations for running bipedally among branches and boughs, standing upright to forage overhead, and climbing vertical tree trunks and vines. Because I forgot what it's called. What other primates walk on two legs all the time like humans? There's another monkey that walks on two legs. What's it called? Vacas. Is that what it is? Gibbons and Indridus. According to Vacas are the only non-human primates that can run on two legs, albeit with an awkward sideways bound. However, it's essential to note that Cephacas do not walk on two legs all the time. First search result mentions these species will adopt the bipedal gait briefly when on the ground, but they do. I think it's gibbons. Let's look at gibbons. Yes, gibbons walk on two legs on the ground. Okay, so let's see what else we got in here. This theory implies that the first habitual walkers were already equipped with the necessary adaptations for bipedalism, which were later refined as they became less dependent on trees for daytime refuge and other activities. The need for hominids to acquire bipedality may have been driven by various factors, including the exploitation of aquatic food sources, wading, and the need to regulate body temperatures in open grasslands. The fossil record shows that the early bipedal hominins such as Australopithecus, were still adapted to climbing trees at the time they were also walking upright, suggesting that bipedalism may have evolved earlier than previously thought. That's what I was talking about. So we could have been walking on two legs before they developed their ability to walk on all fours. Let's look at that. Is it possible um, quad quadpedalism developed after bipedalism in primates? I love AI, bro. Based on provided search results, it appears that bipedalism evolved multiple times independently in different primate lineages, including hominids, and some primate species like gibbons and indrids. There is no evidence to suggest that quadrupedalism developed after bipedalism in primates. Instead, bipedalism seems to have emerged as an adaptation. Yeah, but how the fuck do we know? It's not possible to conclude. Not possible, it says. I don't know. It was a pretty recent video, so who the fuck knows? But what are we at, by the way? Bet. We're gonna keep going. There's this game that I really like called Ancestors: The Humankind Odyssey, and it's all about the evolution from humans into or from chimps into humans. And this game is really awesome. I'm a fucking nerd. Maybe it's not awesome for other people, but it takes a long ass time. I never finished it. I never got to humans. I never even got close to humans, but it's a super in-depth game. It's open world too, so it doesn't really teach you how to play. I bought the game originally when it first came out, and the game was just so confusing and so open. Like there was nothing, not even a tutorial to tell you how to do anything. You start out as a baby monkey that lost its mom to like a tiger or something, and then you got to figure out how to fucking find these people and fucking figure out how to evolve yourself and shit like that. And that's all you get. That's it. And so through tutorials and watching other people play, I learned how to kind of get into the game. And what's insane about this is you literally get to go into the neurons of your monkeys, your clan, and you get to develop certain things like communication, bipedalism. You get to develop like recognition so that you can recognize food sources quicker and faster. And what's cool about this game is as far as I got to be able to walk on two legs, pick up things with both hands. You start out by using only one hand, and it's really hard. This game is hard as shit, and I've never finished it. I should finish it one day, but um, it's an awesome game. Is my point. And you have to have babies on your back and shit. I learned that from one of the tutorials because when you have babies on your back, they're learning from the parent. So the next lineage already knows how to do the stuff that you're learning how to do. It's a really in-depth game. It's one of my favorite games though, to be honest, even though I didn't play it very far because it's science, it's history, it's evolution, it's monkeys, dude. That's my favorite shit in the whole goddamn world. Monkeys have always been my favorite fucking animal. Just because they're so amazing. They're so close to us. They look so much like us and it's amazing. And it's kind of crazy that we assume that we're different from these other species already, that we're so much more advanced just because we have phones and tools and all this other shit. What's the difference between a fucking stick that's sharpened and a phone? It's just a little bit more planning and a little bit more thinking. We've just had more time put into all these things to figure this shit out. You know what I'm saying? So I don't understand why we've gone around thinking that we're more sophisticated or more advanced than these other species, and we stopped learning from them for the longest time. In fact, we looked at them like they were stupid. That's where a zoo would come from. We used to have humans in zoos. I've said that before on a podcast, but we had human zoos where we would put African tribes and other tribes, Native Americans, I'm sure. We would put other tribes into zoos and go and gawk and look at them as if we do animals now. And now we know that that's not right. And one day I think we're going to figure out that doing that with other animals is not right. Because imagine if we do that with prison and jail essentially, is we just throw people in a cage. It's like if you were just go visit a prison, it's like beyond scared straight, but you're not being scared straight, you're just going to look at the prisoners and throw like peanuts and shit at them. That's disrespectful as fuck, dude. If I was a tiger in a fucking zoo, I'd get out and kill these motherfuckers too, because you're taunting them with like these fucking super predators. Their entire history and lineage is devoted to catching things, killing them, and eating them. Okay, and then you put it in this little box and you give it just fucking food on a plate. You don't let it activate its other instincts, and so they have to suppress these instincts down, and they're taught that it's bad if they do these certain things. That's kind of what we're taught, dude. Like, we're taught that we're supposed to suppress these aspects of ourselves. And somebody the other day had told me that I was the happiest person they knew. I am not the happiest fucking person, dude. Get the hell out of here. I'm like content the majority of the time, and I'm having a good time within myself usually. But I get angry, I get sad, I have all these fucking other emotions that everybody else has. The only difference is I don't suppress aspects of myself. I'm not out here to look fucking great for other people. I'm not here to look cool. I don't give a fucking rat's ass what other people think about me. None of that shit. I value others' opinion, but it's not going to impact how I live my life unless it's factual information that changes my way of thinking. That's all that's going to change me, dude. And Chance told me yesterday that I've stayed true to who I am, and I'm pretty happy that he told me that. Because that's all I've ever wanted in life, was to stay me. I don't want to have to change myself for anybody. I'm going to get a tortilla. I'm hungry. But I don't want to have to change myself for anybody, and I don't think I should have to. Because, especially in a relationship, because if you're having to suppress yourself, aspects of yourself, and change who you are for these other people, then they don't love you for you. And it took me a long time myself to realize this, because I would look at people as a project. And a lot of fucking women and men do that. That we look at other people as a project, and we're like, nah, they'll just get over that. They'll fix that when they're older and all this other shit. And then when they don't fix it, we freak out and we want to leave them and all this other shit. Like, I don't think that's right in any manner, because if you're, in my opinion, I'm putting honey on my tortilla, sorry. You ever try if you've never tried a honey tortilla, dude, you're missing out. You put honey in one of these motherfuckers. But if you're already looking at the person you want to be with, even if it's just like a little crush that you have on somebody, you watch them over a little bit of time, and you're already thinking of ways that you might have to change this person or impact their way of thinking. That's not the one, dude. You got to get out of there, because because that means that's turning into a project, and you're hoping this person will change. That means automatically you're not loving this person for who they are, because you have to accept them to love them. You have to accept everything, their flaws, their fucking their strengths. You got to accept all of it, how they act. And if this person is, that's what I was talking about yesterday, that if you're not looking at a person that you're trying to date as a wife or a mother or a husband or father, and they're not showing these characteristics, then why the fuck are you wasting your time? If you're really wanting a family, unless you don't want a family and you're not looking for that in a person, There's all kinds of different people out there. But for me and my brain, I'm looking for a wife and a mother. So I'm not going to waste my time fucking around with people that aren't looking at things that way. Because I'm trying to build a family. I'm trying to build a strong unit. That's why I work on myself and I'm working on my finances and all this shit is because I want to be sound. I want my kids to have the best possible chance to fucking start this life in a position that gives them an advantage. Why? I mean, I don't understand why most people don't think that way. Why are you not trying to give your child a leg up in society? A lot of people look at their children, like I said this yesterday, as an extension of themselves. And so they try to raise them in the way they were raised. But if that didn't work for you, if you're not in the best possible situation, why would you not try to reform that before you have children? Way before you have children. You need to spend a lot of time with your thoughts and in your head and in your body and in your mind or in your spirit to figure out, okay, what worked, what didn't. How do I want to pass information on to my child? What kind of information do I want to pass on to my child? It's a fucking lengthy process. And I don't understand why people don't look at it this way. They just look at it as, oh, we can have kids. And that's what's crazy is that you have to have a license to drive a fucking vehicle. But there's no test to have a child. You can just have one. Everybody can just have a child. Doesn't matter how retarded you are. I could have had a child a few years ago, dude. You think I was in the position to have a fucking child? No. Hell no. I was drinking every day. I was going ham, dude. I was not having no child. And if I did, I was fucked. That's why my biggest fear is having kids with somebody I don't love or getting an STD. Because these things aren't just going to impact me. That's why they're my biggest fear. They're going to impact my children. STDs and having a child with somebody you don't love because, one, you're not going to have a strong family unit if you don't love this person. And you, you take it a step further, you might not even have a fucking family unit at all. Look at all the divorce rate. Look at the single parents out there. Everybody's fucking doing this shit themselves because they didn't build a unit. And they had kids with people that they did not like at all. And STDs, if you get like chlamydia or something, then that's like, okay, that's a warning shot. I look at a chlamydia and shit like that as like a warning shot. Luckily, I've never had it. My brain's my warning shot, dude. I get so anxious, dude. That's why I don't fuck around, really. It's because I get so anxious. Even if the person told me that they were clean, if I know that they've been fucking doing shit that isn't clean, like they fuck around with other people and shit, of course I'm gonna worry. Of course I'm gonna be nervous. Because I don't want that shit in my life. You know what I'm saying? But with like AIDS and shit like that, it could be passed down. And I don't want that shit passed down to my kid. Imagine being born into this world and you just have herpes or AIDS right off the rip. That would fucking suck dick. You know what I'm saying? Thank you, Dad and Mom, for not giving me herpes or AIDS. I'm pausing this thing so I can go piss. I'm so glad that iPhone added a fucking pause button onto this thing. Imagine not having a fucking pause button on your shit. What are you doing? What the fuck are you doing? Hopefully the sound is good. I realized on the last one that the start was a little crackled. That's why I moved it down here. I'm not trying to fuck with it. Not trying to do none of that nonsense. Trying to keep it good. I realized that clipping this thing onto this side makes the mic go off to this side instead of being center. These things you don't fucking realize until you do it, dude. I know the podcast looks easy. I don't know if it looks easy, to be honest, or not. I've just always had this ability to be able to sit here and talk to myself. Because I'm always doing it in my head. And I enjoy it. Like, I enjoy, like, getting my ideas out and reflecting on things. Oh, shit. And just figuring out, like, what's going on inside myself. That's why I said it's good to question everything yesterday. Because, yeah, I've questioned my sexuality. I've questioned who the fuck do I want to be in the future. I've questioned everything, dude. Because how the fuck do you know you're not gay if you don't question it? You're just like, nah, bro, I'm not gay. I don't fucking believe you. I don't believe you one fucking bit, dude. The reasoning being because humans back in history used to just fuck everything, especially dudes, not women. I shouldn't say women, but dudes. We were fucking everything that had legs, everything that walked. We were after it. Doesn't mean it mattered. Man, woman, fucking animal, everything. You know, fucking men were wild and horny and fucking ridiculous. So don't fucking sit here and fucking explain to me how you're not gay if you've never questioned it and fucking asked yourself and literally legitimately sat there, put yourself through that fucking experience. You have to. You have to run yourself through that experience. Maybe not everybody, but I want concrete ideas in my head. I'm not sitting there trying to fucking bullshit myself. You know what I'm saying? And it reminds me of these fucking. There's this guy at work named. I'm not gonna name him, but every time we make gay jokes around this guy, or just like, it's just what our generation does. Like me and this guy Calvin, we make jokes like, oh fucking, I don't even know what to say. What kind of jokes we make? I'm gonna touch your penis or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Just a joke like that. You go up to Mark with that shit. Well, I just outed him. You go up to Mark with that shit. He's like, don't fucking talk to me about that gay shit. I don't fuck with that gay shit. But then there was this fucking one time that um we were walking out to our vehicles, me and Calvin, and Mark just happened to be in front of us, and he always turns around and starts talking to us and shit. But he starts talking about I forgot how he got into it. I think I was talking about Asian people, and he starts saying, there was this one time I was with an Asian lady. I was super drunk, and she stuck her finger in my ass. And that was the end. I was like, wait a minute. Pause. Where the fuck did this come from? All right? What the fuck? That's what I'm saying. Because you start to harbor shit. Like, I fucking think Chance is a sexy ass man. Am I gonna fucking go and touch his penis? No. I think humans are just designed to see beauty, regardless of gender, um, regardless of species, regardless of anything. We are designed to see beauty. No other animal stops to look at a flower like we do. We see the beauty of the flower and we idolize them. That's why we get flowers and shit for our significant others on on special days, on their birthday or just whatever, because we look at the beauty and we think of like different aspects of that beauty. And I think men get really scared. We get real scared by things we have in our heads. For a long time, I thought I was started questioning shit because I didn't think I was gay. That's what I was gonna say. I started questioning whether I am or not because of the tranny shit. When you get your dick sucked by a tranny, you're gonna start questioning a lot. More than just if you're gay. More than like, what the fuck's wrong with me? What the fuck? How did I get into this situation? How do I never have that happen again? It starts fucking with you. That's why I don't fuck up too much. I fuck up a lot, actually. But then I learn from it fast because my anxiety fucks with me, bro. Fucks with me real bad. It starts to get all crazy in my head, and I'm like, fuck. Oh my God. Or not just anxiety, my depression. My brain kind of works together. My memory is weird, dude. The anxiety and depression kind of go into one. You know what I'm saying? And thoughts come up from the past, and then shit goes into the future. Like, oh shit. It's one linear thing to me. I don't look at as bits and pieces anymore. No, I'm just thinking. I don't even know what I'm thinking about. I'm just here. I've been a lot like very peaceful the past few days. Just very peaceful. Like not necessarily as peaceful as when I posted that now video. It's titled Now, but because I was completely at peace that week. But these past few days, I've just been in my body and present and in the moment, and work's gone smoother. Everything's gone smoother because of it. The reason I went on that little spiel about gayness is because I think it's just a label. I think it's just a label. I don't know, man. In my head, the way I logically think about it, because evolutionarily, that shit shouldn't have survived. You know what I'm saying? Lesbians and gay people. It should not have survived, and I'm not against them. You do what the fuck you want. All right, that's none of my business. As long as you're not trying to come and suck my penis, we won't have an issue. But listen, evolutionarily, if genes do not work out, if certain ways of doing things don't work out, like your brother's playing with a fucking anaconda and gets eaten, you're gonna learn not to fucking do that, right? So we would have just snuffed ourselves out if we're just fucking the same gender all the time. That's what my brain says. Because I think about things evolutionarily and through a hunter gatherer's perspective a lot of the time. And then you look at like Roman, what is it? Not Roman gladiators. I'm sure it was the Romans too, but Greeks and Spartans, all those people, they either had little boys that they were fucking on, or they were fucking each other. It's weird as shit. If you look into history, the history school taught is not history, dude. That's just like a linear path that they wanted us to fucking look at. It's not that linear, dude. We've done a lot of weird, fucked up, gruesome shit in human history, and you gotta look into the real shit if you really want to know what's going on. But in my brain, I think it's a label that we put on people, gayness or straightness or all this shit, because that's all words are. It's just labels and stepping stones to ideas. This guy likes penis. Well, I think that's a choice. I don't know. I don't know, man. I guess I've never really talked to like a real gay person, but in my head, it's like a choice you choose. I don't know. I don't know how it works. I'm not even trying to be all religious and shit about it. Maybe they don't choose. Maybe they just know. But for me, I just never trusted women as a child because of my mom and the first chick I was with. So that's why I started to question shit. I'm like, I can't talk to women. I can't look them in the eye. I found them attractive, obviously, but like all this other traumatic bullshit around it made me start looking at things differently. And so maybe it is not a choice for some people. But then like open people like me, like I'm an open fucking book, dude. I love everybody, regardless of gender, race, sexuality, whatever the fuck you are, I love you. But for open people, I think they're more inclined to experiment. And I'm not experimenting with dudes, all right? I've got my dick sucked by a tranny. That's all I needed to know. I fucking hated myself for a long time, and that's it. God damn, the shit really does start to happen after the first hour, huh? That's why I wanted to go past the first hour, because I always end this thing at like 40 minutes, and then we're just sitting here with a concise, consecutive fucking look at the how I am. No, there's a lot of fucked up shit going on in my head that I think about and wonder and ponder all the time. But prison's another great example. That's how disgusting men are. There's no women in there, but you think those motherfuckers aren't? They're fucking each other. They're fucking each other in there. It's just men are disgusting. We're nasty. And if you are isolated in that kind of environment, that's what's going to happen as a man. I ain't doing it. I can guarantee that. And expect if listen, if I was gay, I would not be a bottom. I can tell you that right now because I'm way too aggressive. I have way too many manly characteristics. But in my brain, I think evolutionarily and through a hunter gatherer's perspective, you need both genders and you need them to come together. You need to find a woman. You need to find a man if you are a woman. I think it's essential because men hold characteristics that women don't have, like aggression and disagree. What's it? We tend to disagree with authority more. Um, we're violent and What else are men? I don't know. But then women are sensitive and they're more inclined to feel things. And I think these two need to come together. And that's why humans evolved the way we did, I think, is to, um, because the human baby requires so much more than a normal animal baby would. You know what I'm saying? We come out basically premature. Elephants, their gestation period is 2 years. They come out walking, run around. Technically, we should be in the womb for 2 years, but our heads wouldn't fit through the birth canal. And that's why evolution puts us out when we do, when it did, or when it does. Jesus. But you take two halves of the human species, put them together, and it creates life. That's divine, dude. That's spiritual. That's not just physical because you're creating something that did not exist before. And that's what God is. God created everything that didn't exist before, correct? Am I wrong? I don't think so. I don't know what I was doing. I was going to Google some stuff, but I don't know what else to talk about. I'm just rambling now. Um, Trump should be in office soon. What time is it? What day is it? Like this 18th, right? Yep. So Trump will be in office soon. Hopefully he can fucking continue to fix things and hopefully they do what they're saying they're going to do. I think they are. That's why I voted for them. I think they're genuinely going to change this shit and return it back to its former glory. Maybe not its former glory, but better than it was before. Hopefully. That's my hope. Because I've never voted before, but I voted this time. Voted for Trump, obviously. And I hope that they succeed in their mission. I'm probably going to end this thing. What are we at here? 111? All right.